Louisiana was a vast territory. It spanned 828,000 square miles. That's 530 million acres of land. Its name meant the Land of Louis for King Louis XIV. In 1803, however, the French monarchy was gone. The consul Napoleon Bonaparte ruled France. The Corsican general had dreamt of a great French empire in the New World, but that dream was lost when he sold Louisiana. The price? $15 million. In other words, less than 3 cents an acre. The territory that stretched from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains and from the Gulf of Mexico to the Canadian border was initially explored by Robert Cavelier de La Salle in the late 17th century. La Salle named the territory Louisiana for French King Louis XIV. Control of the territory had shifted between France and Spain over the years. During the French and Indian War, France secretly ceded Louisiana to Spain in the Treaty of Fontainebleau, largely to compensate Spain for its losses and to keep the territory out of British hands. Ambitious for a French empire in the New World, in 1800, Napoleon pressured Spain to return Louisiana to France. The transfer was made through the Treaty of San Ildefonso. American farmers west of the Appalachian Mountains heavily relied on the Mississippi River and the port of New Orleans for transporting their goods to market. Whoever controlled New Orleans controlled the commercial life of the Mississippi, and whoever controlled the great river that ran from the Gulf of Mexico to modern-day Minnesota controlled the economy of all the central part of America. Under the presidency of George Washington, Thomas Pinckney had negotiated American access to the Mississippi. When the Spanish controlled the river, Americans were generally free to navigate it. Now the prospect of a powerful and expansionist France controlling the area worried President Thomas Jefferson. In 1802, the president instructed his minister to France, Robert R. Livingston, to negotiate the purchase of New Orleans and surrounding areas, especially West Florida. Livingston warned Napoleon that America might well seek rapprochement with the British, a shift in power that the French ruler feared. Later, Jefferson sent James Monroe to support Livingston. He granted the two of them authorization to offer up $10 million for New Orleans and West Florida. At the time, Napoleon's plans for a North American empire were unraveling. A slave revolt in French-owned Haiti proved costly. Renewed hostilities with Great Britain loomed. Napoleon needed funds to finance his European wars. Without a strong naval presence, Louisiana could potentially fall into British hands. To the Americans' astonishment, Napoleon decided to sell the entire territory of Louisiana to the United States. The two ambassadors had no authorization to buy the entire territory. On April 30th, 1803, however, Livingston and Monroe settled with the French for $15 million. The treaty between the two countries confirming the acquisition was ratified by the U.S. Senate on October 20th, 1803. The official transfer of territory was completed 2 months later, on December 20th, 1803. In just 7 months' time, the United States had nearly doubled in size. The vast landmass eventually formed all or part of 15 American states. It was not clear, however, if the purchase included West Florida. That matter was not fully settled until 1819, when the United States obtained the Florida territories through the Adams-Onis Treaty. The transfer of Florida was finalized in 1821. At the end of the Revolutionary War, the western boundary of the United States was the Mississippi River. Now, the Rocky Mountains formed the western end of the young republic. The Louisiana Purchase solidified America's position as a continental power in the Americas, and the great transfer of territory paved the way for further westward expansion. A triumphant Jefferson set his eye in that direction. On May 14, 1804, just 5 months after the transfer of Louisiana to America, and on Jefferson's behalf, Lewis and Clark launched their great expedition from Illinois all the way to the Pacific Ocean.